I'd like to call this meeting to order. Appreciate everybody being here. Before we get into approving the agenda, is if there's anybody from Leadership Hall, if you don't mind individually stand up, introduce yourself, as well as tell us what organization you're with.
I'm Colby Fowler, and I'm with Bates Carter here in Gainesville, Georgia.
I'm Jeff Williams with Conditioned Air Systems and a class of 2002 from Gainesville.
All right.
20 years.
Anybody else? Well, thank y'all for coming. Do we have any citizens comments? No citizens comments. Have a motion to adopt the agenda. So moved. Second. Got a motion by Mr. Smith, second by Mr. Mitchell. All those in favor? Motion carries.
Motion to adopt Roman 4 AB, Roman 5, small I, small 2I, small IB.
All right, we got a motion to adopt Roman numeral 4 and all of 5 with the exception of items 3 and 5. Is there a second? Got a second by Dr. Ramsey. All those in favor? Motion carries. Mr. Niles, I believe you have some guests here.
I do. Guys, you all want to come up? Okay. Thank y'all for allowing us to come and share with you and present this request before you this evening. This is a phase 2 of the energy rebate program. We started with them on last year. We did several of our facilities on last year. This year, we're coming before you to do a phase 2 of some of our facilities. These upgrades is to upgrade to LED lighting throughout the entire school buildings, classrooms, hallways, Fair Street, Gainesville Elementary, New Holland, and Gainesville High School, the main 3-story building. Again, all LED lighting in classrooms, dimmer switches, all hallway lighting upgraded to LED lighting. And then also softball field upgrades, 6 new poles, 28 LED lighting and rewiring. Ivy Watson Field, this project is a total rewire all of the lighting. We've had several years of patching the wiring, and it goes out and we come back and we'll do a splice and patch it. But this totally would redo all of the lighting from the control panel all the way to the light fixture itself on the pole. And then also it includes Gainesville High practice field and upper field as well. 4 new poles, 78 LED lights. The practice field, 1 new pole. We'll reuse 3 of the existing poles and 22 LED lightings on those. And again, it'll generate savings, especially in the classrooms, those buildings, those schools. It generates a savings that will partially pay for itself over the 10-year period, where, and you can see a full project overview, where it doesn't pay for itself. And this is just because of seasonal lighting usage and the time that it's used. You'll see it's just on the fields. You see there on the classrooms, those buildings, it really pays for itself. It's a 10-year contract where we sign with them. I think district-wide for the project over phase 1, it increases by $54,000, $628 annually for the 10-year period.
And Mr. Niles, doing that work, when do we think all of that would be complete and ready to?
Once this, okay, these guys can answer that, but once everything is approved, we sign off on contracts and everything. It takes about a month for them to mobilize and get everything in place. And they'll come in with their crews and they'll totally do an entire school building in a matter of 2 or 3 nights. that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. The only thing, the biggest thing is just the delivery of materials now. You know, that has been the biggest problem, but once we get all the material here, it shouldn't take but 3 or 4 months to get everything done. We look to get the sports field done, all the sports lighting done before August, hopefully, depending on if we can get a contract in and get the pieces ordered. So, and then the lighting, like you said, it usually takes us about 4 weeks to mobilize. And then from there, it'll take us about 3 or 4 months to complete it all.
With a revamp like this, like one particular thing you mentioned was at Ivy Watson, and just being a baseball dad, I know one of the things that had come up at Ivy Watson was that I don't think we currently have power going to the pitcher's mound. So when they have a pitch machine, they have to run extension cords from the dugout or wherever it's coming from. And so that's one example, but with something like this, are there other things where we're re-engineering how the wiring is laid out, and in addition to the new technology, is that involved as well?
Yes, it is. And actually where you had a lot of splicing, you had your old poles. I guess they were old wood poles that were there a long time ago. They cut them there and then they spliced everything back to the new poles where they were moved. This is going to get rid of all that. We're going to start at the panel, brand new panel, run all the way around the field, do all the boring we need to, and it'll be a solid system. Because it was crazy when you went from your old pole, wood poles, to your new poles, there was at least 2 splices, different splices to connect those, and those have been failing since. So this would be a whole new
Would
system.
that have any effect on the output of the light?
No,
Okay.
no, will not at all.
And also, David, you might come up as well. Because also, once they install the new wiring and stuff again, they'll do the light tests and everything to make sure that, a high ball up, that their kids aren't being blinded by the light. They'll do those tests.
That is something I have heard from a baseball dad, that it's very dangerous in the outfield. And I don't know if it's the lights themselves or the way they're aimed, or I cannot speak to that.
Yes.
So, hey, Mr. Stewart, we looked at that 2 years ago when we put them in, and a lot of it is changing over from the old metal halide to the LED themselves. And it's when the ball goes through the lights, it's hard to track till it comes back down. But they seem to be adjusting. The more they use it, the better it goes.
Yeah, and at one point,
This is phase 2, so we've done a lot of this project work already in a lot of the buildings. So this is just really going to finish out the rest of the district, Mr. Niles, is that right?
Correct, it will. We've already done the middle school, we've already done Centennial. We consolidated a lot of meters there at the high school. And so this will complete all of our other schools to the upgraded LED lighting.
Back to Ivy Watson, there's 3 main parking sections. Lower, upper, and visitor sign parking. Do all of those have security lines?
No, sir. The first 2 you mentioned do. It's in the island between them. The one on the far upper one does not currently. That's something that we can certainly look at.
Right.
I wish you would, and not to interrupt or to add to, but it for safety's sake, it might be suitable while they're out there. And these are security lights, not floodlights like.
Yeah, we certainly can look into that.
And if we had any issues with vandalism or theft or anything,
No, sir. Not in several years.
based on darkness, have not had any kind of issue. To run it back to Chris's question, to run a power line to the back of the mound, have to be out of the way of the play and buried and out of the way, but the outlet would have to almost be buried.
Yeah, I'm not sure how they do that.
Right.
I know a lot of them do have it, and I guess it would be on the back side of the mound. I just use that as an example because, security lights, seems like if we're gonna undertake something like this, it would be the time to go the extra mile to
Okay,
make sure we
right.
do all that.
And that is part of this project. We will do that.
All right, any other questions of Mr. Niles and his guest?
Just the logistics, do those power bills for Ivy Watson, are they standalone bills?
Mhm.
And so if we rent out or lease out the field to an outside entity, do they help pay the power?
Whatever our, for the facility use request, whatever it is that we would charge, power and all that's included in whatever that fee is.
Any other questions?
Motion to approve this item.
All right, got a motion to approve, Little Roman numeral 3, got a second by Mr. Mitchell, all those in favor? Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate your
I
time.
want to thank Matt for being here, as well as Nathan from Georgia Power for being here. Both of them have worked tirelessly on the project. They spearheaded phase 1, so they're going to implement phase 2 as well.
Thank you all for coming. Appreciate it. All right, Mr. Jones, last item, next to last item, personnel report.
Good afternoon. I'd like to ask the board to approve the personnel report as submitted.
All right, Mr. Smith, I think you guys have a question.
I have one motion to approve. I have a question.
Got a motion by Mr. Smith, I hear a second. Second. Got a second by Mr. Mitchell.
Lynn, do you know, or can you find for us the status of the Enola crossing guard position? I've gotten some complaints from commuters, from business folks who are experiencing slowdowns and issues because there is no crossing guard.
I can find out more information regarding that. and
Thank
get
you.
back to you.
Thank you.
Are you getting that more in the morning, afternoon, or both?
Morning.
I have a question as well. The floating nurse, which schools is she gonna float?
Wherever the need is. So it's kind of like a sub almost, except that somebody that will have full time.
But we'll have nurses at every school.
Yes, we do now.
That's what I thought. I just want to make
This is
sure.
just making sure we're covered.
Okay, perfect.
Any other questions? All those in favor? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Thank you.
Any discussion items?
I have one, Mr. Niles.
Yes, sir.
He's still there. Mike, you, bring for us a 5-year capital improvement plan on the Performing Arts Center, the past 5 years.
Okay, sure.
We have an administration that does not know what has been spent there. And we have a new director coming in who needs to know what, and in my opinion, it's been extensive.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to see a list of the capital projects from the past 5 years. Just at the PAC.
Mhm.
You like that financial amount on there as well?
No problem.
Thank you.
Any other discussion items?
Motion to adjourn.
Got a motion by Mr. Smith. Your second. Got a second by Dr. Ramsey. All those in favor? Motion carries. Thank y'all for coming.